This is the daily Forex report for June 21st. We're going to take a look at the US Japanese yen pair first. This particular pair did close up after gapping, close that gap during this first session. We are looking for this pair to overall continue sideways with the bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 91.96, possibly as low as 89.63. Look for some resistance around 91.50 and look for some support around 90.00. Now looking at the Euro USD pair, this particular pair gapped up, closed down, filled the gap. We are looking for this pair to continue overall moving sideways, biased to sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 125.33, possibly as low as 122.14. Look for some resistance around 124.75 and look for some support around 122.50. Now looking at the pound US dollar pair, this pair overall has been moving to the upside, did pull back, gapped up at the open, did close that gap during the first session, close lower. We are looking for it overall to be moving sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 150.13, possibly as low as 146.32. Look for some resistance around 149.35 and look for some support around 146.75. Now let's take a look at the US Swiss. This particular pair gapped down, closed higher, filled the gap. Overall has had a pretty strong move to the downside over the past several sessions. We are looking for this for a potential area of congestion. You look historically, it did pull back once before when it was moving higher. We could still see that pullback happen before it moves lower. Look for this pair to potentially go as high as 112.03, possibly as low as 109.37. Look for some resistance around 111.50 and look for some support around 109.75. As far as news announcements go, we have the Canadian CPI being released for May at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Consensus on that one, really no consensus given, just a previous of 1.8%. We also have the U.S. Is holding their FOMC meeting tomorrow. We currently are looking for that news announcement to be released on Wednesday. Now, let's just run through some stuff. I want to talk about support and resistance, kind of show you some trend lines, kind of what I'm looking for as far as the different pairs. We have the US Japanese yen pair here. We've had quite a few trend lines here that you're able to place. These last four, here, 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 and here, pretty much tagged this trend line. So a break of that trend line could mean that it could go to the next one up. Draw some other trend lines. Basically what we're looking for, it's consolidating down, as you can see, long term. If we get a break to the upside, definitely look for it to come up to this point, which is in line with previous resistance. If we get a break above this session's high, it'll come on up to here most likely. If we get a break out to the downside, we definitely need to keep an eye on this area of support that we've seen. It could come down to that area, but definitely keep an eye on the previous support that could be support again. Now, looking at the Euro USD pair, this particular pair overall has been moving to the upside. Definitely, if we get a break to the downside, let me draw some trend lines here. We have a trend line here. Is what's interesting about that. If you draw a horizontal line where we have previous support, where those meet, could be a key area as this comes down. If we get a break below it, we could come back down to this level. So definitely keep an eye on that. Now let's take a look at the pound US dollar pair. This particular pair has been moving up slowly, kind of within a range. If you want to kind of take a look at that range, Draw some trend lines here again. That's one way to do it. You can also realize that we have a low here that's in line with previous resistance that now could be support. So when we're looking at where this potentially could come down to, I do believe we will see it come down to this area. If we get a retracement to any degree before it will continue higher. As far as moving to the upside, where could it potentially go, or where could it hit some resistance to the upside? We have this area right here of previous resistance. I can see it, if we get a breakout to the upside, hitting some resistance around this area, possibly even the 1,5000 level. Let's take a look at the US Swiss. This particular pair has just been moving lower very, very quickly. If we get a break below to this previous session's low, we're basically going to see it come down to this area. We have resistance, which became support, and I do believe we will see support at that level again. However, we are in an area of congestion, previous congestion. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so sessions to break out of it and to continue higher. I do believe we will see that same thing again before we see it move lower or higher, depending on which direction it does eventually go. Now, if we do get a breakout to the upside, we're probably going to go to this level right here, because at that level we have some previous support as well right here, as well as previous resistance. So the US Swiss overall has some pretty clear-cut support and resistance areas. I do believe that we will see this pair kind of bounce between here and here over the next couple of sessions before it breaks out. If it does break to the downside, look for it to go down to this number, the 1.0923 number. If we get a breakout to the upside, we can definitely see it coming up to this area around the 114, probably 25 level. Well, that about wraps us up for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.